Om Bhadram Karnaibhi Shrunuyam Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Stuštuvagam Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, Thou abidest in all, Thou art all, Thou assumest all forms, Thou art the origin and goal of all, Thou art the self of all, Thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto Thee. May the world be peaceful, may the wicked become gentle, may all creatures think of mutual welfare, may their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Shanno Mitraha Sham Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi Shanno Vishnururukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva pratyaksham brahma vadishyami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmam avatu tadvaktaram avatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dear friends, hopefully you all had a very nice Thanksgiving function, meeting all the relatives, friends, family members and all. It is a festival observed, celebrated in all United States, and in spite of some painful feelings that some communities have about it, justified, but still one fact that it invokes is the spirit of thankfulness, that we have to be grateful for all that we receive. The prayer that I just chanted, it seeks the blessings of all different universal powers, like the that aspect of divine which gives light to us, that aspect that gives rains to us, that which gives all other powers to us, and so forth. So it is sought from them that be benevolent to us. So this idea of giving thanks is a very commonly seen human virtue, and its social merits can never be doubted. In the country, our India, that I come from, it is not a matter of etiquette and common manners to keep on saying thank you for everything. That somebody opened the door for you, thank you. Somebody did something, just minor something, say thank you. That is not the custom. But it is important, I feel, that to inculcate that idea, not just as a matter of a mannerism, but as a spiritual virtue. That it is, when we thank somebody, of course, it is very important that whatever we receive, we should be grateful for the source from whom we get it. And now the source that we see is the obvious reason, superficial reason that I got it from. And like I gave the example, somebody held the door open for me. I said, oh, thank you. I feel grateful that yes, you did it more actually for your feeling to help out, rather than just the action. The action was, of course, important. You held the door. But if it is done feelingfully, it is done with that feeling of loving care, then its value is certainly much more. And one can appreciate that even better. But how this connects to Lord? It is a social virtue, a good manner, very good etiquette, and so a good training to invoke good feelings, that you say thank you. It is sometimes it is said with a little sarcasm and anger also, that we expected some good turn from somebody. That happened to me once, that on the street I was driving, and somebody expected that although it was my right of way, somebody expected that I will yield. But I did not, because I too was in a hurry. And then that man from the window says, thank you. So that certainly was not really thank you, but it was because what he expected, I didn't do that. So that is why I said thank you. But this is the funny aspect of it. But otherwise we say thank you, showing our gratitude that what we receive is very meaningful, very important. And today's topic is that it is a spiritual value. It has great spiritual value. How it is so, not just limited to social customs, manners, and so forth, but the idea of feeling grateful connects us to the Lord. How that is what we are going to explore a little bit today. That we say thanks to the obvious superficial reason that gave it that. Like, yes, somebody did good turn to me, even minor or major. I feel thank you. When it is really major something, and I feel that I couldn't have had it without the help of that person. I really, within, I feel very grateful, something that I really, really needed. And I had no other way but to get it from that source. Then I surely feel grateful. Yes, I am so grateful because on my own I didn't have any way to do that. It is, I was going to a place, the place was going to be closed at 5 p.m. And I reached there late. But that person was closing down and was coming out. He had almost locked the door. And I said, "Oh, I am sorry, I got late here. Is it possible by any chance that you can open it for me?" It was a temple. It was a temple in India that I went there. It is, and it involved a lot of climbing up. And it took much longer than I thought it would take. So I had planned on half an hour, but after half an hour I had not climbed even half of it. And I had almost given up hope that I will be able to get there. I was so tired. And one man was coming down after I was exhaustingly sitting down. He said, "Oh, it is going to get closed. If you want, just go up." I mustered all the energy that I had and went there, and I saw that man, the priest or priest was closing the door. And I asked, "Is it possible for you to open for just I will go in and come out. I won't detain you for too long." And he saw the feeling of urgency on my face, and I was about 5-10 minutes late. Still he opened it for me. Now imagine, after that big climb, and it was not likely that I would have come there very soon again. So I was very eager actually to go to that place. And then I can tell you the place. It is in Rajasthan, near the town of Pushkar. There is this temple of Divine Mother called Savitri. So it's a steep climb that one has to go doing that. And then he opened the door. I felt so grateful that yes, you did such a great favor for me. I had no force as such to demand it from you, because I was late. The times were known to me. They were already told that it closes at this time, and yet you did a great favor to me by opening the temple, and I thanked him with all my heart, because that was one thing that I needed his grace for that purpose. So I thanked him. And then when I was coming out, I thought, well, but the thank, although it is, I gave him the thanks, the thanks should be given to Lord mainly, because that is the inspirer, that is the controller, that is the governor of everyone. It is everything that is helpful to us is able to help us only through that inspiration of the unseen hand. It is that makes everything full of vigor, full of power, and without that, anything it will not work. So, for example, we are thankful for the light that we are having. We may extend thanks. Oh, bulbs, thanks, you are giving light to us. Of course, we should. that yes, had they not been there, it would have been dark here. But there is the electricity which is making all of them shine. Otherwise, maybe one bulb can go bad at one time, still there will be light. But if the power goes off, then all of them would be there, they will not be able to work. So therefore, thank you not only to the bulbs, but more importantly to the electric power that is there and all that goes with it. When we trace back, we see that all this is governed by the will of God. And thus, gradually our thanks turn to that, our gratefulness turns to that. And therefore, Meister Eckhart, the great Christian mystic of 14th century, he said that if the only prayer you say in your whole life was thank you, that would suffice. Why? Because that will connect us to that divine. Because we will see the source where from we are getting all this. And thus we will see the manifestation of that being all around, in us, around us, and that will bring us the feeling of devotion. The devotional feeling is very important in manifestation of one's spiritual potential. It is sometimes neglected by many of us who consider themselves to be very intellectuals. Yeah, we do have intelligence, no doubt, and it should be used. But for most people, that alone is not enough to reach the goal. There are other faculties in us which also need to be equally inspired and brought into fore. It is like they say in the military that we need infantry to win the war, but in addition to that we need also the Air Force and Navy and so forth, and intelligence. So it is like that, a combined that effect has to be produced by all our faculties to turn our minds towards this divine. And for most of us, because our life is governed more by emotions rather than the intellect, intelligence makes us go deep and penetrate into the cause, the nature of the things, but it does not make us change our lifestyle or bring about a shift in our actual living and feeling. Because our life is not much governed by what we think. It is more governed by what we feel. I asked this question to myself and to many people in one class. Please tell me, how many of you go and eat ice cream for its well-considered nutritional values? Hardly anybody. We eat it because I like it. That's it, I love it. So our loves, our likes and dislikes, they actually govern how we act, how we live. And that is why that faculty needs to be trained. And that happens with this. Thank you. I feel grateful. That is a connection that we establish. Initially, we do establish with the superficial cause that, oh, that man helped me. And certainly, yes, I should be grateful to that man. But when we stress the cause, that what made that man work like that, what is the force behind that, then we trace it to the what is called the great cause. In the Vedantic scriptures, it gets called as the Mahakarana. Karanam Karananam. What are the cause that is on the surface? But when you go deep, then that is the cause is seen as the divine, from whom everything springs up. And the oblations are to be given to that, a way of offering worship and feeling grateful is to give oblations for that purpose in a fire. And the fire was the way to worship, offering oblations in fire in ancient India. Because fire, all this, the feeling that we all have that God is somewhere there in the skies, is everywhere, but then we automatically look up, there is that God in the heaven, because that shows the transcendence, that we are not able to see that God because, that God is not on this plane. It is on a transcendent plane, and therefore that makes, you will see this across all communities all over the world. The God, whether you are in America or England or in India, you see, like that, heavens. And so the ancient Indians found this wonderful means of sending their offerings to Lord, that you offer that oblation, that thing, in fire. Now fire converts it into the kind of smoke or heat which goes up. So while it is being done, we say prayer, that fire becomes like a mailman, that okay, take it, and it is to be delivered to this being. So that is how the oblations are made. And there is a very beautiful hymn that gives these ideas about thankfulness. It comes in the most ancient of the Hindu scriptures, the Rig Veda. In the 10th volume, it is the hymn number 124. It is called Hiranyagarbha Suktam. Hiranyagarbha is the first manifestation of God, whom we can feel, we can worship, we can hold on to. It is a manifestation. The divine in the Vedantic ideas is that which is transcendent over everything and immanent in all. There is, you cannot have any thought about it. It is beyond all comprehension. But that divine cannot shower any grace on you because it is everywhere. It doesn't have any separate existence that you can pray to. So, for that purpose, there is what is called the divine with attributes. Divine without attributes is that divine principle which is everywhere, which has pervaded in every nook and corner. That is the divine principle. It is. So you can think of that, but when we think of it, it again gets the form of our thought. I am thinking of that divine like this. So it gets attributes. We impart attributes to that which is attributeless. That can be prayed for, that can be worshipped, that we can ascribe, that yes, that is, you bring all these great things to us, my prayers to you, my thanks to you. So, that first manifestation here is called Hiranyagarbha. The word Hiranyagarbha comes in later Vedanta texts with a little altered meaning. But it is connected, but there is an added connotation to it, that it is the subtle body of this whole universe, that the self working through the subtle body of the whole universe, that gets called as Hiranyagarbha, to put it somewhat non-technically. It is, but here the Hiranyagarbha is that divine which is connected to us as the giver of all that we need. Like providence, we are in providence, so it is easy to think like that. Providence, God as providence, provides for everything that we need. And so whom else to pray? All others give us, but they give through as the different channels, different manifestations of this Hiranyagarbha. So Hiranyagarbha is that. Its literal meaning will be that it is like the golden egg. The golden egg, the whole universe is pulsating in it, as it were, before it manifests, like a chicken is in the egg. So that it breaks the egg and comes out. So this universe, before its manifestation in all these forms, was in this egg. And that egg is called Hiranyagarbha, the golden egg, a special egg through which it manifested. So this Hiranyagarbha hymn is said to that, a very beautiful hymn. It has 10 verses. It says, Hiranyagarbha samavartatagre bhutasya jatah patireka asit sadadhara prithvidhyam utemam kasmai devaya havisha vidhema ya atmada balada yasya vishva upasate prashisham yasya devaha yasya chayamritam yasya mrityu kasmai devaya havisha vidhema. It goes like this. The last line, the refrain, is same in all. Kasmai devaya havisha vidhema, which translated in this context would mean, whom else shall we be gratefully offer our worship? We offer worship to what we get, but everything is really coming from us. It is, the first verse says, in the beginning was the divinity in its splendor, manifested as the sole Lord of the land, skies, water, space, and that is beneath. It upheld the earth and the heavens. Whom else shall we be gratefully offer our worship? Then the next stanza says, He bestows life force and vigor, whose guidance all humans, even the celestial beings, seek, whose shadow is immortal life and death. Whom else shall we be gratefully offering our worship? So the hymn is very sublime, that it is like, you can say, the life and death are its shadows, means the coming and going that we see. It is not only life comes from that, but our passing away and getting into various other forms of life, that also happens through its grace. the Hindus, they have this idea of evolution of species, not just like Darwin. Darwin's idea of evolution of species is limited only to the biological level, and it doesn't have this concept that when, say, a human being passes away, we all have to give up this body. But then all the desires that we had, all the ideas that we form about what I should be doing, then all the actions that I have performed, all that are awaiting to bear the results, all those, where do they go? What happens to all that? Well, we say, well, it assumes again another more conducive body, another body, and thus expresses through that body. So therefore, the death of the body is not the end as such. The death of one body is beginning of another body, and that is how it is described. Like one changes the car. Well, this car is very old, unreliable. I had a few breakdowns and so forth. So now it is to be just junked. I have to get a new one. And while getting a new one, I look at what I need, what my desires about car are, and accordingly then I get a new one. Oh, that last one, now there is a new model that gives more safety and also is more efficient. I will then go for that. Also earlier I had a big van, and so now I don't think I need such a big car. One gentleman told me, I got the small one because earlier, we had children and also we needed all family to go a big van. Now only myself and my wife are there. Why do I need a big van? So I bought a small car. So that is how we buy the new body too. That it is, at that time that was all right, but now I have to buy a new one. I will get the new one according to my, now how I understand it, at what is on the market now. So so also we select the bodies accordingly. So that happens. Also, all the new bodies are made available in the market through the grace of that divine, because of which we are able to get. So this is all the mountains through which they in Himalaya. That is the great mountain covered by almost all the snow and glaciers, which become the source for rivers. The great rivers in India, they flow from there and become the source of life, source of sustenance for all population. So it is said that it is through your grace that we have those glaciers, those mountains, and thus we are getting that. Now people are worried that the glaciers are shrinking, the rivers will get dried up soon, and then what will happen? This is how the cycles, they come and go. So this is the process of human evolution, that yes, we thought we will become happy and by getting this, and so we had that desire, and then we got that object of that desire, but still the desire as such didn't go. It gave rise to another desire. So when we gradually ponder over that, we evolve. No, I don't want this. I don't care for this. I want something higher. And that propels us for the higher levels of evolution, as mentioned by Julian Huxley, a biologist who was giving lectures at the centenary of the Darwinian evolution, and compiling those lectures. A book has been brought out, Evolution After Darwin, where he points out to this idea that at human level, in a way, the biological evolution stops. That biological evolution now takes a different turn of intellectual and psychological evolution. So that happens, this body goes, but then in the next body it continues. So this is, how does this happen? It is mentioned that through this, it keeps on happening. Then that is the grace of that divine. And whom else shall we shower our offerings on? So it says in the 4th verse, the divine, through whose glory the snow-clad mountains rose and the oceans spread, with the river they say, his arms are the quarters of sky. Who is the deity? Whom else shall we gratefully give our worship? It is he through whom the heaven is strong and the earth is firm. All this world that we live, how it can offer support to us? Well, that is the source of that support. Whom else shall we offer our worship? When it goes on like that, it is he who in his might surveyed the waters, conferring skill and creating worship. Even our worship that we offer, that also is possible by his grace. Otherwise, we will not be able to offer our worship. It is, we offer here, it is like offering it in the fire. But it is he who created fire and also invoked the spirit of being worshipful and being grateful to him. And that is making us offer. This is a very interesting, very sublime idea, that we worship that divine, but that worshipping is also possible by his grace. It is he who has conferred us the will and the means to offer the worship. This is important because lest, it may give us the feeling of ego. I worship, so that as if the Lord should be grateful for my worshipping. It is not that, it is that also is possible by his grace. Of course, this idea is misused by many a lot, that why do you not do prayers and meditations and worship? Well, it is said that unless God's grace descends on us, we will not be able to do. So it is, I am waiting for the God's grace. When it comes on me, then I will start worshipping. It is kind of cheating ourselves. But the principle is very sublime, very beautiful, that it is even our worshipping, even the good thoughts that we get, that also is inspired by that Lord. There is a very nice story in the life of Krishna, Lord Krishna. There was a poisonous snake, and then that poisonous snake was tamed by Krishna and asked to, go away from that place. It was poisoning all the waters and all. It is an allegoric story, the poisoning of the waters. means the waters of our mind get muddied and all that, because of that snake which has 1,000 hoods, and each of that it is an allegoric description of the desires that we get, and they keep on, it has 1,000 hoods. In inspired talks, that beautiful text by Swami Vivekananda, he calls that the desire is 1,000 hooded snake in us. You try to press one hood, the other hood comes up. So Lord Krishna danced on that, and making that completely subservient. The idea is that when all those desires are turned to God, then they lose their venomous effect in our mind, then they do not poison our minds. So, and then Lord asked that snake, hey, why do you pour poison like this? Then it says, oh Lord, you have given me only poison. What else can I offer? I don't have anything other than that, so I offer you only that. So that is a snake, what else it has but the poison. But when it is offered to God, then God blesses, because whatever you have offered. It is that idea of offering, whatever we have, offer it. Whatever the dearest thing that you have, offer it to Lord. Dearest thing. That is why in Bible you read that beautiful idea. Abraham was asked to sacrifice his son, and then he agreed. It is, and then there is a debate, did Abraham know beforehand that his son will be revived again? Well, no, he didn't know that. He was sacrificing his son because Lord had commanded that it is, you do it. And that is the highest command. When God has said something, what can be superior to that? It shows that it is, that Lord is supreme. That is by definition it is like that. God cannot have a second place. If God has the second place, obviously that which has first place is the God. So God always has to have the first place. Most valuable thing is God, and therefore all that is less valuable can be sacrificed for that which is more valuable. Isn't it? If I asked Paul, I give you this $10 bill that it is, and can you give me $100 bill for that? Said, no, Swami. But if it is reverse, then of course I will be eager to do. Let us have this transaction every day. That you give me $100, I'll give you $10. So because yes, $100 more valuable than $10. So he is ready to sacrifice $10 for getting $100. So the idea is whatever is most valuable, one can sacrifice for that which is less valuable. So therefore this prayer says that Lord is most valuable. There is nothing more valuable than that. So let us sacrifice everything. O Lord of creation, no one other than Thee pervades all these that have come into being. May that be ours, for which our prayers rise. May we be masters of many treasures. We may be many treasures here. Treasures in the context mean all the spiritually valuable treasures. May we be masters of them. May we get all those by your grace. It is you. Now what happens is psychologically, that when you feel grateful to somebody, you tend to listen to that person. This is commonly used, that you feel grateful to somebody and then you tend to do whatever that person tells you. That is why all those, these sellers, they give you some soaps. So that you feel grateful. This was given to me for free, I got it for free. Then you tend to buy more from them, and yes, you feel grateful, indebted, because they did such a good turn to me. That is how politicians use these tactics to get votes. Okay, we will give you this. Say that is going to do that for us. And so, when you feel grateful to somebody, you tend to obey, follow the commands of that. So, you get internally connected to that person. That person starts ruling your mind. And that is why in the yoga aphorisms, one of the disciplines, that is in many other scriptures also, it is mentioned, don't accept gifts. Because unconsciously you come under the sway of that one who has given the gifts, and that person will rule you. So therefore, don't accept gifts from any person. Your mind will become slave to that person. So accept gift from the Lord, because I want the mind to be slave to God. We get connected unconsciously to God by this feeling of being grateful. I am grateful to you, Lord. See, it is not very easy to explain it logically, because our psychologic does not go according to logic. There are so many examples to prove that. An MIT psychologist, Steven Pinker, has written many articles and a book also to show that how our thinking, logical, but our actions, our behavior is not logical. So our behavior then gets connected to Lord, to whom we say we are grateful for everything, O Lord, and thus we get connected to that, and thus that starts manifesting in us. That is the important spiritual value connected with being grateful, that as we feel grateful, it becomes, we start seeing, to whom shall I be grateful? And you see that everything actually comes to us from God through whatever different means. Those means are secondary. The primary giver is God. When you get a gift from somebody, now that UPS or mailman has brought it to you, do you send a thank you note to that post office? No, you send thank you to the one who has sent it. So similarly, God has sent all these gifts to us. So the thank you should be to that God. And what happens to us by that is our hearts get connected to that divine. And that is what we want in our spiritual life. Let our thoughts be permeated with Lord. May our feelings be permeated with Lord. And thus our life will also be permeated with Lord. May that happen to us. May our prayers on this day go to that divine by whom all this is happening. Thank you, friends. I should say thank you. Thanks, Lord, who is manifesting in all these hearts. Let us meditate on this idea for 30 seconds. And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes. Yes, Raymond. Yeah, you are right. It is, see, the dualism is not as such opposite to non-dualism. And the goal is non-dualistic. But what my present experience or perception is, I and the world. I, the eater, the food that is being eaten. So, that is why we have to take up this practice, but invoking the spirit of non-duality in it. That is why one of that I emphasize that part of the hymn specially, that even our doing prayers is possible through your grace, you being pervading our minds too. So that all-pervasive nature of the divine is not negated here. But as I mentioned right in the beginning, the attributeless, all-pervading, one without second cannot be worshipped, cannot be prayed, cannot be even thought basically. As soon as you think, you give it a form, you give it a separate entityship, and thus it is not possible for us to pray without having this separation. But we are aware that this separation is going to go away. We are aware that it is of the non-dual reality, that is how Swami Vivekananda describes Sri Ramakrishna. That in one of the hymns he wrote for Sri Ramakrishna, he says, Advaya Tattva Samahita Chittam Projvala Bhakti Patavrita Vrittam. A very beautiful idea that, oh Sri Ramakrishna, your heart is full of this non-dual awareness. It is, you are completely immersed in this non-dual knowledge. But externally, you have taken up this garb of devotion. So this is the devotion that gradually lifts us to the non-dual reality. Feeling thankful is a way, therefore, to connect to that reality. Thank you. Yes, John? Thank you for coming. We didn't see you for how many years, maybe?
Well, I've been thanked for tuning into Channel 10 before, so it's not nice of me to tune into Channel 10. But you mentioned about the evolution of species, and do you feel that like dogs may be, or cat, domestic animals could be higher up than other species, and are we somehow, do we have the potential to help other species to advance spiritually?
Well, it is, we are bound by our anthropomorphic ideas, and therefore we think as human beings, maybe, who knows, God are higher up than us. Maybe we say that we are evolved from monkeys, but that story I had told once, that the monkeys may think completely differently, that we are evolution from monkey, that human beings. There is a nice story. In Indian surroundings, you see it all the times. I was also seeing those things as a child. Children play under trees here and there, and monkeys are on the tree. They are also on the tree. They don't worry about each other normally. But once a young one, a little monkey, saw the children playing and asked the mother monkey, "Shall I go and play with those children?" And the mother monkey says, no, no, they are human beings. They are not yet evolved like us. Don't you see they are yet to grow even a tail? So so who knows, we should not pass a judgment on that. That way, it is, but from our perception, if we see the lives of other animals, it is restricted to instinctive life. There is no thought process involved in that, as per our understanding. That is a caveat that has to be put in it. That as per our understanding, it is all the response to the input. Whatever they see, immediate response is there. So therefore, human beings ponder, think. That is why you see different response from different human beings to the same situation. It is, and so the thought process that human beings have, it is a special feature than most other creatures. Also, other creatures you don't find the struggle to grow better and better than what the nature has given. If their natural physical needs are satisfied, then they do not need any other thing as such. Therefore, there are no animal schools, they run by animals. Human beings run school for the dogs and for training their dogs. But you don't see the research institute started by deer for the deer. No, it is that is a human trait. Human beings are not satisfied just by fulfilling the fulfillment of the physical needs. That is why Jesus says, a man is not satisfied by bread alone. The bread signifies the physical needs. So that is the way one can see that human beings are more evolved. But that caveat remains. It is our thinking. Who knows? Yes, Judith?
The point you made toward the end about God manifesting through, when we appreciate other people, that's a manifestation of God.
Oh.
Right. I thought that was a fascinating point. But does that mean that when we appreciate what other people do and appreciate it as a manifestation of God, that they're just a vehicle, or does it expand beyond them to also their?
Well, a very nice question. That your question, let me rephrase it, that when it is true that when we get something, the God is actually manifesting through that person and is giving us what we need, what we like, what we appreciate. Now, when we give thanks, what should we appreciate? We should learn to appreciate. That is a process. That person, let us see that person as manifestation of God from whom we got this. And thus we always feel thankful, and not to the manifestation but to that being. Like suppose you give me something by your say left hand. Would I say, oh, your left hand, please, thank you? No, I will say, thanks, Judy, because that hand belongs to and is controlled by you. It doesn't have its own power. So also, none of us has our own power. It is all that is manifesting through God. When we see that, when we feel that, then we will be thanking Lord for everything. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell a very nice story that everything happens by the wish of God. There was one that weaver who used to weave and sell the cloth. And he was very honest person and was always mentioning it is by the will of Rama. will of the Lord. By the will of the Rama, the yarn I bought at this price. By the will of Rama, that my my labor costs like this, and I take this much profit. So because of that, the price of the cloth is this, and by the will of Rama, therefore the price of the cloth is so much. And people would say, wow, yeah, would pay. One day it so happened that many robbers, they had robbed somebody and had a lot of big, that booty with them, a lot of stuff with them. So they wanted somebody to carry it. So they saw this healthy man and then caught hold of him and made him carry. And then this fellow was made to carry all that load. The police came and the robbers fled away, and this man was caught red-handed now. You have all the stolen stuff. So he was produced before the magistrate next day, and magistrate asked him to describe what happened. Well, by the will of Rama, I was sitting there that day. By the will of Rama, the thieves came, those robbers came by the will of Rama. By the will of Rama, they forced me to carry this load on my head. By the will of the Rama, the police came. By the will of the Rama, those robbers fled. By the will of the Rama, this police caught me and put me in the jail. And by the will of Rama, I was brought in presence of your honor, and so forth. Then the judge sought, there were other juries from the town, and they said, well, we know him, he's a very honest man, he never would steal. So judge let that man go free. And this man said, by the will of Rama, that judge freed me. Again the connection is not the judge, but by the will of God, that judge freed me. So everything is connected to Lord. In fact, that is how we can thus fill our hearts with the presence of divine. That is how the being thankful will connect us to Lord. Yes, Barbara? Yes.
And then you linked that to being feeling grateful to everything and thereby linking ourselves to God.
Yes.
Okay, that's very, very, very wonderful. But
Thank you.
I'm wondering also, our thoughts, if we're also grateful for whatever thoughts we have,
Yeah.
will that also link us further to that feeling?
Exactly, yeah. Probably I didn't emphasize it enough, but our thoughts are necessary. Our thinking is necessary, and that thinking also comes to us by the grace of God. Exactly. The thinking is very important, and it should not be neglected. That also we get by the grace of God. That is why you see different people think differently. It is the God through all these different machines according to their evolutionary status grants them the power of thinking, and thus therefore it is true that the thinking, we should be thankful for the Lord. That comes in this hymn, that we are able to think also because of the grace bestowed on us by the Lord. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Jim?
What about the negative side?
Yes, exactly. A very good question. Yeah. Exactly. I actually told one incident about that snake. well, I can offer only poison because you gave me only the poison. But the very fact that you understand it as negative, what does it mean? You don't want it. It is so that therefore has come. It is because of the absence of the feeling of Lord. It is when we think of Lord, those negativity will not come to us. It is by the grace of God I am going to cheat you. Will that thought be possible? It is not that thought will not be there by the grace of God. No, it is when one has no other alternative, when one doesn't see it as bad, then it is a different thing. But when you see it as negative, means you see that which is positive also, that is good also. Now it devolves upon you not to pray for those negative things, but to pray for the positive things. So let us, Vishwanath, yes, he will be doing the offertory as usual. And this was we will not have any more Sunday services in this month. We will resume by the grace of Lord next month. And next month, the first Sunday, December 3, the topic of discussion is psychology of violence. And it will be followed by a devotional music concert by one wonderful singer in this area, in Massachusetts actually. It is, his name is M. Rama Rao, and he had performed here earlier as a harmonium player. He will now be doing the singing also. And he'll be accompanied on tabla by another well-known artist here, Rajesh Pai. So you are invited to join that also. The other programs during the week, the Tuesday and Friday classes, they will go on as usual. There is a spiritual retreat coming up on coming Saturday, on learning to breathe. So it is in some copies that last E, breathe, is not, that was a spelling mistake. So many asked, learning to breath or learning to breathe. So, well, it is learning to breathe. It is. So that is the topic of the retreat. So you are welcome to join that also, but for that you have to register. So let me recite the closing prayer, and then there will be the arati, and you are all then invited to join the soup supper if you can, because it is, Thanksgiving weekend, so people have many other things to do. So, may the Divine, who is Father in heaven of Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.